Okay, you guys. So again, YouTube platform is like there's nothing like it, right? And it shouldn't be taken for granted, which is I think a lot of people are doing that. And it should be more well known as what it's for. And so you have the government and then you got the people, right? But in that, it's like you have all the pain and suffering from history in the past that the government and the Vatican, all these people know about it, right? And then you have like YouTube and the people now that some of them like they don't know. Well, like education's missing, or like basically you have people that are like kind of like running around in a playground, you know, and not really taking advantage of everything, or they're being left out, they're not fully we're not fully developing as a human species, and we're not learning from our history. And basically, so this YouTube platform and the government, right? Um, since people don't really have a religion, or since they did away with religion in the mainstream, um, you have the YouTube platform in which you are a creator, so you become like your own god and stuff, right? And that's what's happening. And so, guys, so forget all that. Like I really don't care. That's you. You can do whatever you want. Just don't harm others, right? And just know what, be conscious of what you're doing, because it's easy to slip into that trap, into that honeypot, and not being able to get out, or you're in a you're so far into that honeypot to where the people that try to get you out, they are falling into it as well. And so basically the YouTube platform is so that way uh people can communicate to people that have been infected, have been zombified, or are possessed by demons, or are behaving like animals. It's so that way we can communicate to you guys, and so that you're not afraid to get correction, or to fix yourself, and to do better. And because a lot of people, they're wrong and then they try to perfect their story, right? And basically that's that's a virtue that I'm seeing, like not everybody's having that, in the sense that like you you don't take life for granted. You have integrity and you have virtues and things that matter, right? And that's what's it's crazy to see how like people, like they I don't know, they don't know. Guys, basically, all right, so YouTube exists so that way people don't run away from correction, right? They don't run away from uh because they need to be corrected, or else they're going to be taken out. That's the natural process of things. And my experience at RCCC, Real Consumers Correctional Center, was something that everybody could learn from, because that is, I think, like that's where like correction begins, where you have like normalcies in a sense. um Basically, there's a framework there for to remedy the situation, to get people to understand what what happened and what they did to them, or what happened to them in life, without lying to them, and and because what's happening right now is that people can fall into this race war, or like blacks versus whites versus browns, or things like that, right? Instead of like, because the nations already is becoming like the idea, the concept of the nations is becoming more and more obsolete to this like more free, more dynamic YouTube, like not YouTube, but like people are their own creators, their own gods. They create their own rules. And basically people that they have freedom, and then they're fooled to think that, yeah, like to keep on doing what they're doing because they're free, right? But not necessarily they, if they're making the mistake, they keep them making that mistake because they don't want to teach. They don't want them to know because they're making money off of them. You know, like whether it be a drug dealer and to their customers, or whether it be like a company that's giving products to their customers. You know, it's the same thing. You get to a state to where you're just accustomed to this income, and it becomes a lifestyle that, you know, you need a third eye perspective. You need an outside looking in perspective to be able to see like, hey, like this is inhumane, or this is a system. You know, it's a system of not human beings, but a system of like machines, and people acting like machines. And basically, um so a third eye perspective, right? And in this same way, you have even these dark spirals of, like, let's say gambling, or like these poker games, and then that's where they become like these individuals. They become like Hitlers, or they become these people because they get stuck in that, in the same way. But it's not with corporations, it's in the natural sense of like, you got grown men sitting around a poker table making, serious bets, and making huge wagers, that they don't believe it, but etherically, like, it's real. And that has to be addressed because it's gonna keep their spirit in perturbation. It's gonna keep them in turbulence, and it's not gonna allow them to rest, and it's gonna bother other people. So this is the working out process of solutions, remedies to the situation in which our grandfathers helped pave. Like, pave. Basically, the good is what the good does. And to say that good people don't exist, or to say that, basically, like, it's almost non-existent. Or it's almost like people have been, like, their mind's been taken away from them through being stuck in this income system, or through this outside world street system of, like, gambling and voodoo wagers and spiritual witchcraft and stuff like that. And then mixed in with the real estate game, people that are just trying to, live like, they know what they're living. You know what I'm saying? People of service. And this comes from a genuine education. And so it's for you guys to understand that this exists to protect you from this income level, from that mental trap of lifestyle income trap of working a job, and also the drug dealing, not working a job. You don't have to be drug dealing, but like just gambling, uh like sex, and or whatever, just living outside of the lines. You don't need a job because you make money, gambling here and there and making wagers. So these two traps, we're being our grandfathers basically made this infrastructure and paved the roads for us to be able, because they're not going to be here, and they knew that. So we had to think critically and problem solve and get ourselves out of the situation. And that's why you have um like EMS and fire and police, and these, like, Department of Justice, and the balancing of powers. And you have First, Second Amendments, Bill of Rights, and Constitution. These concepts, ideas that that go across multiple languages. So, like in Mexico, what happened to Carlos Manso, he didn't have to speak English to know, Second Amendment, or he don't have to speak English to know that, we all have a say, and that's what is right. And basically, universal. It's universal, and that's why you have YouTube, because it's it helps. Hopefully it's gonna. Hopefully we can talk, like, people that are demons or zombified or acting like animals can hear this, and they are like, they're not afraid to get, like, some type of help, because what they're doing is damaging people, and um, if you're already stuck in that, and there's nothing you can do about it, you have to like see yourself, and you have to see how you can get out of that situation, or you can stop harming people, or but it's not that easy, especially if you're in business, and that's where people are being hostage, and and that's probably like where Donald Trump's motivation was to get into politics, and get into presidency, and get that power. um that makes sense for a motive, right? um and at the same time, you have the other side, the Democratic side, or the other side that is also subject this also in that trap, you know and that trap is that you say one thing, and you're being held up to your word, and then nobody else is being held up to that standard, and or it's a human thing that's going on that we should have learned by now. And this platform, the YouTube platform, is how we are able to communicate across everywhere, and we see these similarities, and we can learn from them, and there's something to do there. It's not just before. What was just an empty field is now become a place full of like possibilities, and it's become a place where like you can see now, like you see what before used to be just a city, what before used to be a bike lane or a sidewalk, is now tools, is now a concept of civilization, that people have ignored. And ladies and gentlemen, they're trying to get away with it, especially the people around me, in my area. They're trying to sweep a lot of things under the rug and get away with it, and that's why I probably won't. Well, that's why my like it's a risk, and and this is a risk that anybody that used the infrastructure of America, like what people fought and died for. Um, if you used it for what it's for, you're gonna find yourself in that same targeted position because of what because you use things for what rich people had to pay a lot of money for, you could say, or do unimaginable things for, and you just got it by an economy based on love, based on like our grandfathers and our the people from the past, knowing that they had to sacrifice their life, knowing that it didn't have to be that way, but they had to sacrifice their life to pass down the information, or to for survival, so that way one day, we can stop dying, for nothing. And basically, wisdom, guys, more concentration of virtues and values that bring us together, and knowing how to live together, and knowing that like, this is not to bring you down, but it's to this YouTube platform and everything is to be able to communicate with you in expressive ways that we can't communicate otherwise, so that way you calm down, and you try to see how you try to see your way out of that situation, so you can stop killing us, so you can stop hurting us, so you can stop abusing us, and and do the right thing, um, and step down if you have to step down. And so a lot of one thing is that has to be like secured is like that correctional program, like if like there's a lot to learn from my experience at RCCC, that um guys, like I think like it in a way like maybe it's a mixture of that experience mixed with my first, second grade, and possibly kindergarten growing up, my education. So if I didn't get that education that I got in kindergarten, first and second grade, my outcome would have been different in real consumers correction. Um, so that's like my primer to service, you know? And not only that, but I have to give credit to my parents because my parents taught me, you know, it's not only what they taught me, but what they didn't teach me, you know? It's like the world is not beautiful. Like the world can be very, very cruel. And, you know, to be appreciate every single thing, you know, to the best of our ability, you know, it's taught me just, it's like, has to, you know, they didn't teach me anything, you know, like it's the same basic things, you know, like appreciate everything, be a good person, you know, like things that are so simple that everybody, my parents didn't teach me anything special, you know. And thank God for my education, first kindergarten and second grade, that like I was primed with not being afraid, you know. And a lot of people don't know, like we try to hide from you the how scary it is, because then you'll never fight, you'll never go out, you won't want to do simple things to exercise your freedom. And if you can't exercise your freedom, what good is it if you're exercising, you know, at the gym? Like, and when I'm talking these games people play, it's like they sacrifice themselves. Like, oh, I'm not like they deliberately self harm themselves to because they hate other people. They commit self harm on themselves because they want to destroy other people, and they know that they can't, so they commit self harm, so that way they can commit suicide. You know, so this is so it's scary, you know, but you can't be afraid, you know, like you can't be afraid, and without that, like, you know, it's people are afraid, you know, you just don't give them a genuine education, and like, man, the way things are now, it's like people are afraid because Mexicans, ladies and gentlemen, just because I am, you know, I am one, and Hispanic, Latino, you know, whatever you want to call us, like we work hard and we value genuine education, we value virtue, you know, we value these things that are being degraded and spat upon in society, you know, publicly, you know, like if you're a kid growing up now, and unless you're into violence at night or something like that, you're not gonna, so if you want to protect your child from that, you're gonna be misled into that false narrative, you know, and they're suffocating information, they're suffocating the truth, and in this, what people died for, this they have too many tools, and they're using that without, you know, brain, without any type of mind, you know, and some of that, like, you know, as I mentioned, you know, like certain people, like in politics, you know, like many people in politics, I would say all the NGOs and stuff, like these people are owed, you know, they have to understand, you know, like, you know, what we're finding out, you know, and because these people, they know what I'm talking about, and like there are people that are working to really, really like send them, you know, like it's just they got a lot of hate going towards them, you know, and hope like the thing is that, like, you know, hopefully just ease off, like, or I don't know, hopefully this they know what to do with their position, you know, whether it be step down or, you know, virtue and morality says that we live where people are service, so we live it out, you know, live out their position, you know, kind of like Joe Bidening it, you know, like they gave it their all, and they're not lying to the people, and so for the people not to see that, it's like, obviously it's a, you don't see the dagger, that's that's in the back, but it's there, and it's in the heart, and it's so a lot of people right now, they're like Asians, or, well, I wouldn't say that, but the people that have been kept, a lot of people, a lot of, excuse me, a lot of brown people, I guess, or whatever, just mixed ways of thinking that, with the scariness of the world, people have, they're like, okay, we rather live forever in La La Land, right, than to ever have to see that or have to think of that stuff again. And that's that's wrong, you guys. You're just that is the way to pave your road to hell, because you're not seeing where you're going. And so hopefully, guys, you got to think critically, and you got to really solve problems. And the way things have been going now, it's like they've been trying to make their own, like, it's just, I don't know, it's just hope, like, the people that have been holding the wheel for the people that think they're in power, the people that are holding the wheel are like, it's like they had to do that, and at the same time, it's like they're not gonna want to let go, or they're, how you say, like, respectfully, like they're feeling like disenfranchised or something. But that's like, a part of that is demonic possession, and like, just, you get humans that are not, good humans, sometimes. And it's, ladies and gentlemen, we're all human being, as a sense that we are, flesh and blood. So we're talking about, like, psychotypes, like humans behaving like animals, or getting possessed by possessions or demons or whatever, right? Or authority or whatever, And so this is like what the YouTube platform is, is is a part of the architecture of peace, It's part of the architecture of peace. Uh, so that way we can subjectively synthesize, and we know, so that way nobody can say that, oh, you don't know who I am, right? Or, you know, because identity, people don't appreciate a name anymore, like what it means to have an identity. And that's because they're not exercising that right. They're not exercising their identity, just as, and you don't need an ID or a real ID to do all that. Your identity should be you, your persona. When you go outside and you step in the street, you know, people should know who you are. And then you have a lot of people that, for many years now, they're growing up in this cycle of, like, staying indoors, like hikikomori, but for malicious ulterior motives. And then you have people that are hikikomori and they don't even know what's going on. They're just naturally like, oh, that's what everybody does. So they've been kept in the dark for a long time. And we got to keep in mind, all the dictators from third world countries and stuff, that how important communication is with them, how important it is to communicate with them, and how they don't communicate with just words, so communicate with actions and, diplomacy and stuff like that. So it's basically, for peace and for survival, the shared architecture of peace, which includes reducing inequality, global nuclear disarmament, investing in public health, which is what I'm talking about, of rehabilitating, not just throwing away zombies and demons and letting them fester in prison, because whoever did that has to, their job now should be to reverse that, and to the best of their ability, we should hold their feet to their fire to figure out what's going on, and so that way they can, just like how you have like Joe Biden in, in Joe Bidening it in like politics and living out like they're giving it their all because there is nothing else. Like that is civilization, right? In the same way, these people that participated in civilization and are now trying to run away, their feet should be held to the fire because if not, it's it's gonna affect us, other people that had nothing to do with it, and then they're gonna commit suicide because they don't know what to do with that ball, you know. And then in their mind, they're like, "Oh, this is, it's just a mess," you know. And then that's a recipe to commit suicide. So in this, guys, so that's investing in public health, right? Providing remedy, and that's what I'm kind of like. That's what I'm working on, you know, like not I'm working on, but it already is happening. You see it happening around you, and it's just for people that are, you know, maybe you don't have family or whatever. You want to know what's going on. You want some news. This information is gonna help you uh, have a more maybe you can see clearly, you know, and so strengthening democratic participation. So that means that's how you talk to like the North Koreans, or that's how you talk to other dictators, you know, and get them to stop harming people, and you show them, you know, how to manage their people instead of just trying to kill them and take out their people and committing, because that's what's happening. They're getting addicted to killing off peoples, like races of people, you know, or you know, or even thinking that way. Because if they don't know how to think, their mind is gonna rot and go, and it's gonna drift, right? So strengthening democratic participation happens with everybody having a genuine education. So that way, people in America that deserve it, guys, that are not, you know, like living off of the backs of the working class, or you know, of you know, people that have virtue, you know. Anyways, it's always been like that, you know. People taking from the people, like they really, guys. This is so that way we all live in one world, okay? So just bear with me here, right? Addressing climate change, for whatever that means, you know. Uh, Restoring ecosystems. Obviously, that is self-explanatory. You know, not trying to manipulate Mother Nature into anything, but you just clean up the gutter, or you clean up the garbage. You you see and you hold people accountable that are polluting the street or polluting the environment. And that's why the laws exist, you know. That's why that's a tool for you, for people that don't have the strength, or they're not, you know, 6 foot tall and muscular or whatever, you know. This infrastructure and tools exists for you, and it brings everybody on an equal playing field, and it shows you how nobody's better than anybody. Ensuring, and it's a proven fact, guys. So ensuring clean air and water, self-explanatory. ChatGPT is destroying the water on a molecular level, and you can't tell. So that's very important issue. Arms control and diplomacy. So arms control and diplomacy, self-explanatory, guys. They're giving Venezuelans or the people of Maduro, you know, guns and no information, or they're giving them the recipes to do what's happening right now. So you have to diagnose that ASAP, as soon as possible. Diagnose what's happening to our people, to their people, because this is all people, okay? And this is love, guys. This is love all around, okay? So none work in isolation. So none of this works by itself. So this is what enables people to have purpose in life. What gets people off of that mentality of race wars, Nazis, whites versus blacks. This is a logical, common sense, facts, something to strive for. And old people, young people, schools, teachers, you know, make yourself useful, you know? If you've already committed whatever you've done, like you know, that's for God, that's karma. That's, so to fix that, to mend that, so that way you can live with yourself, you know, check out my YouTube channel and basically do the best that you can, and stop that trend. Try to reverse it. You don't have to do that. Don't keep on like harming yourself to harm others. Stop it, And what else? Man, guys, this is so that way, like, man. um this is basically, guys, that's it, guys. Thank you guys for listening. I'm a um Thank you guys for listening, man. I don't know what else to say, man. It gives people, this is what people, just by hiding it from you, it makes people commit suicide. So just by not telling you this stuff, they hid it from us. People are lost. And the reason why they didn't tell it to us is because the people in control, they didn't build it, They are they don't know, Some of them, right? Some of them are there and they really don't know that they did bad things to get there, right? Other people that are there, they just won it, or like they gambled it and they want to gamble, or genuinely good people that are find themselves in that position. And without this information or without clarity, people commit suicide, and that is like that's karma, that's like a karmic retribution thing that, you know, people are using AI to run away from. They're using AI to run away from karma because that's the only way that they could buy more time, right? And so they're trying to find a solution, and this is a solution, guys. So that's my work, guys. You guys own most of the world, or like my opposition, right? Uh, this is my work, so that way, you guys don't go to hell, and you're not afraid to go to prison, and hopefully, that's the thing. If you guys get correction in prison, that works in my advantage and the advantage to every single person out here, because a lot of what is tainted you guys has tainted the population, and a lot of what the population is blaming you guys. So it works hand in hand. Everybody, like, it works. It all works, okay? Hopefully, if it all works, if we work it, if we work it, if we work it, guys. So this is what, once again, to stop Nazi type thinking, to stop people burning in the ovens, to stop torture, to stop structural violence, yeah. Anyways, guys, and don't commit suicide, and to think about it, guys. So again, once again, they're using AI to try to thwart off of karma, because karma is Mother Nature is the metaverse. Mother Nature is the original first nature, right? And we shouldn't be well, you should be afraid of it, but like you shouldn't be afraid of it, It's like going through the needle. So that's what we're trying to do, guys. And everybody should have like an assignment, right? Or something. But again, in that in itself, people try to twist your words and twist everything. So that's what is a threat to communication everywhere. So again, guys, critical thinking, problem solving skills, and the way that we do that is we teach that in mass to everybody. And you don't even have to do a thing, because Mother Nature is scary sometimes in itself. It can be very like brutal, and so naturally this happens, guys. Thank you guys again for listening. Please donate, subscribe. Try and make some money here, so that way I can be independent from guys, if I had my own house, if I had my car, if I was away from my parents but still close enough to be able to take care of them and stuff, um man, guys, I would be able to communicate with a lot more people. I'd stop so much, probably, like my substance use of marijuana, cannabis and alcohol, and I would I would definitely communicate with more people, um, and I would develop my own team of people, like, so that way I could to do the best that I can to be independent, and to stop weighing on the backs of other people, like security wise. And I'm not talking, guys, and when I'm talking about security people, I'm talking about National Guard. I'm talking about big people, like people that I don't even know who they are, and I've never met before. These are the people that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the security guy at the club, or security guy at next door. But it's all in the spirit of service, guys. So hopefully we all grow together again. And forgive me if I come off abrasive, but it it can get frustrating. And again, being with my aunt and not being financially independent, but that in itself, again, guys, that in itself, you have the money has to work. The job system, like, there's so much fine print. There's so much fine print. So in a way, it is a blessing that I am where I'm at. And but it didn't have to be this way. I think definitely, for sure, things. I don't know, guys. I It sucks. It had to be this way, I guess. Or I don't know. I don't know. But this is where it's like, this is like the leading edge, and this is where it's like nothing. This is where it's scary that people try to perfect their life story, because I don't know how to do that. And the people that I know, the people that, like, Mexicans and Hispanic, Latinos, and the people that I know, we're not like that. We don't try to perfect our story. We are a service. Like, we really are hardworking people that value a genuine education. And when people do bad things to people to try to genuinely educate people, unnaturally and artificially, um, that's the phenomena that's what we're seeing right now. And when it's natural, when it's a natural fear, natural, like, common sense, and it's not evil, that you could see in itself, right? So you see the whole spectrum of reality, and we're not lying to people, and by we, I mean me, I guess. And trying to help people that have been lied to a lot, or have been you know have been lied to a lot, or have been covering up, or been told half truth for a lot of time. We're all trying to work towards a more perfect union. So again, you guys, for the fourth, fifth time, thank you guys. Thank you guys.